But my loser is the low-hanging fruit. It's the Boston Bruins, and it's not exactly the fault of management there. It's more so just their players got old and retired. Bergeron and Krejci retired. They traded Taylor Hall so that they could try to keep Tyler Bertuzzi. Well, now Hall's out. Tyler Bertuzzi's in Toronto, so they have neither of those players. They lost both players who they got at the deadline, Garnet Hathaway and Dmitry Orlov. Both of those guys are out. And who's in? Kevin Shattenkirk, Milan Lucic, JVR. That's pretty much it. So I don't know.
Morgan Geekie, but yeah, it's not a lot.
I mean, sure. At least they have both of their goalies still. Linus Ullmark, the reigning Vezina trophy goaltender. So, we'll see how that goes. But I think Boston inevitably takes a step back this year. We were talking about this team taking a step back after last season, and then they went on to win the President's Trophy. So who really knows, how this team will perform. But I think it's clear that they've gotten worse. They lost 4 of their top 6 forwards and really good players. So, you can argue that, okay, Krejci was a bit older, but the guy still had a great year, playing second-line center. I think he got around 50 points, and Bergeron, everyone knows how good he is and what he meant to that team. So I think there are just some absolutely gaping holes now on this Boston Bruins team, and I'm going to come out and say it. If they make the playoffs next year, I will be shocked. I will be shocked if they make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're going to need a Hart Trophy season out of David Pastrnak this year for that to happen, I think. The center core scares us. We've talked about the center core in the past, and then to have Bergeron and Krejci come back last year, it kind of changed our tune a little bit, but now we're back to Pavel Zacha and Charlie Coyle and Geekie, as Hart mentioned, they picked up, and Jesper Boqvist. That's their center core. That concerns me, and I don't know. Their big move in this offseason after losing 4 key contributors is and Dmitry Orlov, who was their big trade deadline pickup, is bring back Milan Lucic for nostalgia. I don't know. So
yeah.
I don't think that this team is a playoff team either, but go ahead and clip this for when I'm a dumb, stupid idiot and they're second in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
I'm so hesitant to say that, Case, and even to bring up this team as a loser of the offseason because they still have their good players. I feel like this is the same conversation that we just had about Tampa, but it's, it's times 10 because they've actually lost some really, really good players and parts of their core. So it's scary to say, but I feel like Boston just isn't the same this year at all.
Yeah, no, it's easy to say that, and I just I can't wait for clip this like Case said and wait and they have another season like they did last year. No, I'm joking, but they make the playoffs and go on a big run or something like that. Case, sorry, you want to jump back in there?
Yeah, I won't say shocked if they make the playoffs like Chad said. I think they certainly can, just based off their D-core and goaltending alone. Then, you play shutdown defense with that team and have Pasta and Marchand throw a couple goals in the net. You're quickly going to win a few games that might get you into a playoff spot. But I just don't think that. I think they're going to be a wild card team. That's where I'm at with them right now. And for me, that makes them a loser. I did. They were on my short list of losers.
Yeah. It was the low-hanging fruit. Oh,
for sure. No, definitely. It's again, I've had terrible luck, betting against the Bostons and the Pittsburghs and the list goes on. The teams that, we think are going to be taking a step back, but somehow they have a good year, they get themselves in. And look, I think that's accurate, that, I wouldn't, Chad, I'm not as far as you are, I wouldn't be shocked if they got into the playoffs, but I think it is going to be tougher for them. They're not going to go out and have a year anything close to how they did last year, of course, but, I look at this team and there are still some foundational pieces there, right? Marchand, even though he's getting older, is still a very productive player, still an elite player. McAvoy, Pasta. I gotta wonder, especially with how they look down the middle now. If one of those goaltenders, if we see one of them get dealt at some point, just to help out, and you know, especially with that position, and we'll see how they look. But again, like going back to what I was kind of saying about Tampa, banking on, you know, some guys depth-wise having good seasons. Like I think Boston is, they're going to have to do that with some of their young players and see what they have. The Laukos, the McLaughlins, maybe Fabian Lysell gets in this year and gets some games under his belt. We'll wait and see, but yeah, definitely think this team takes a step backward. But hey, they've still got some pieces that are locked up there for a long time, some of the best players on the planet, and we'll see. But again, like, the Atlantic is getting tougher. It's an older squad, and it's going to be a lot different than it was last year for sure. But no, I totally get the rationale for them being a loser from this offseason.
Yeah, for sure. And Harper, just going back to your point, last thing I want to say about, you know, possibly trading one of their goaltenders because both were so good last year. I wouldn't be so quick to do that. Goaltending is so random. We talked about how, you know, even earlier this episode with Carolina, how you kind of need 2 or 3 really good goalies in case of injury or just sporadic play. And, you know, do you think Linus Ullmark is going to have another Vezina caliber season? I certainly don't. I think there will be some regression to the mean there. So I don't know. I would be very hesitant to trade a goalie, even if it does add to your center depth, because you know, if you lose one of those guys, I think you're in real trouble.
Where I'd argue there is that now is the time to do it if you're Boston, because you're going to get a king's ransom for both of those goaltenders, either one, whoever you decide to stick with. Ullmark because he's coming off of a Vezina season, and Swayman because he's young and just as good. Yeah. So if you're going to make the decision to trade one of these guys, you need to do it now before one of them takes a big step back in the first third of this season.
Yeah, and fair point, Case, in terms of value. If you're going to do that, you better get, you know, at least a third goalie or equivalent back to replace him. So,
yeah.
Well, here's an idea for Don Sweeney and the Boston Bruins. Just be a lottery team this year. Draft Cole Yzerman near the top of the draft. He's a Massachusetts native, and you've got another foundational player and a young player to help build things back up. So there you go.
All about the connections. Massachusetts boy, he says.
Yeah, I think there'd be a riot in the street of Boston if they did that. But
yeah, probably.